The deputy sheriff knocked on my door at 5:47 in the morning with eviction papers in his hand. Through the window, I could see my son-in-law standing on the lawn, arms crossed, smiling like he'd just won the lottery. He thought he was about to watch me get thrown out of what he believed was his house. He had nitrogen monoxide idea, what I'd been planning for the past 6 months. By noon that same day, his smile was gone, and so was everything he thought he owned. Asterisk, my name is Daniel Thomas Morrison. I'm 67 years old, and I live in Austin, Texas. Well, I lived there. For the past 40 years, I was a real estate attorney, specializing in property law and title disputes. I've handled hundreds of eviction cases, deed transfers, and property fraud schemes. I thought I'd seen every trick in the book, but I never expected to use my own expertise to defend myself against my own son-in-law. A man who married my daughter, moved into my home, and then tried to steal IT right out from under me. Asterisk, let me back up 3 years to explain how we got here. My daughter Rebecca is 34 years old. She's smart, successful, works as a marketing director for a tech startup. After my wife Margaret passed away from Alzheimer's 5 years ago, Rebecca and I grew closer. We'd have dinner every Thursday, talk about work, about life, about how much we missed her mother. Then she met Derek Allen Price, 36 years old, worked in sales for some pharmaceutical company. When Rebecca first brought him to meet me, he seemed fine, polite, well-dressed, said all the right things. "Sir, it's an honor to meet you. Rebecca talks about you all the time." They dated for 8 months before getting engaged. The wedding was small, tasteful, at a vineyard outside Austin. I paid for most of it, $35,000. Rebecca insisted she'd pay me back, but I told her not to worry about it. She's my only child. I wanted her day to be perfect. About 6 months after the wedding, Rebecca called to me. "Dad, Derek and I have been talking. Our apartment lease is up next month, and rent keeps going up. Would you mind if we stayed with you for a few months while we save up for a down payment on a house?" I lived in a 4-bedroom ranch-style home on 2 acres in West Austin. The house I'd bought with Margaret 38 years ago. The house where we'd raised Rebecca. The house that held every memory of my marriage, my family, my life. It was way too big for just me. And honestly, I was lonely. Having Rebecca around again sounded wonderful. "Of course," I sighed. "Stay as long as you need." That was the biggest mistake of my life. Asterisk. The first month was fine. Rebecca and Derek moved into the guest bedroom. They helped with groceries, kept the place clean. We'd have dinner together most nights. It actually felt nice having people in the house again. Month 2. Things started to shift. Derek began making comments. "You know, Daniel, this house is really too big for one person. Have you thought about downsizing? Or, with property values in this neighborhood, you could sell this place for $800,000 easy. Buy yourself a nice condo. Have money left over." I brushed it off. Thought he was just making conversation. Month 3. Derek started talking about improvements. The kitchen could use an update. Those cabinets are what, 1985? We could modernize this place, increase the value. "I like the kitchen the way it is," I sighed. Margaret and I picked out those cabinets together. Derek smiled, but I didn't reach his eyes. Sure. I get the sentimental value, but at some point, you gotta think practically." Month 4. The boundary pushing began. I came home from a dentist appointment to find Derek meeting with a contractor in my backyard. "Just getting some quotes on redoing the deck," he sighed. Casually, "It's rotting in places. Safety. Hazard." "I didn't ask you to get quotes," I said. "Well, someone's got to take care of this place, Daniel. You're not getting any younger." That comment stung, but I let it go. He was my son-in-law. He was trying to help, right? Month 5. Things got worse. I started noticing Rebecca was different, quieter. She'd stopped having those Thursday dinners with me, even though she lived in the same house. When I'd try to talk to her, Derek would interrupt. "Babe, we gotta go. We're meeting the Johnsons for drinks." Or, "Rebecca's tired." "Daniel, long day at work." One night, I caught her alone in the kitchen. "Sweetheart, is everything okay? You seem distant." She looked at me with tired eyes. "I'm fine, Dad. Just work stress. You know you can talk to me about anything, right?" She started to say something, then Derek walked in. "What's going on in here?" "Just talking to my daughter," I said. "Cool. Babe, I need your help with something upstairs." And just like that, the moment was gone. Month 6 is when I found the documents. I was looking for my property tax records in my home office. I keep everything organized in file cabinets, always have. But when I opened the drawer where I kept my property deed, title insurance, and mortgage discharge papers, something was off. The documents were there, but they'd been moved. Someone had gone through my files. I pulled out the deed, examined it, looked fine. Then I noticed something else in the drawer, a folder I didn't recognize. Inside were photocopies of my deed, my social security card, my driver's license, and bank statements going back 6 months. Someone had been gathering my personal information. My blood ran cold. I locked my office door and spent the next 3 hours going through everything, checking my credit report, my bank accounts, my property records with the county. That's when I found a quitclaim deed, filed with Travis County 2 weeks ago, transferring 50% ownership of my property from me to Derek Allen Price. The signature on the deed looked like mine, but I never signed it. I would never sign away half my house. This was forgery. This was fraud, and my son-in-law had just stolen half my home. Sat in that office for 2 hours, trying to process what I'd just discovered. 40 years as a real estate attorney, and I'd been conned in my own home. But shock quickly turned to calculation. This was my specialty: property, fraud, forged deeds, title disputes. I'd won dozens of cases exactly like this. The question was, how far did this go? Was Derek planning to stop at 50%? Or was this just step 1? I needed to know more before I made a move. Over the next week, I played it cool. I acted like nothing was wrong. Had dinner with Derek and Rebecca, like normal. Smiled. Made small talk. All while I was documenting everything. I installed a small security camera in my office, hidden in a bookshelf. I wanted to see if Derek would come back. Looked through more files. He did. 3 days later, I was at my weekly golf game when my phone pinged with a motion alert from the camera. I pulled up the live feed. There was Derek, sitting at my desk, going through my file cabinets. He pulled out my will, read through it, took photos with his phone. My will left everything to Rebecca. The house, my retirement accounts, my life insurance, everything. Derek was planning something, and I needed to know what. That night, I called my old colleague, Patricia Ann Williams. She'd been a private investigator for 30 years. Before retiring, we'd worked together on several fraud cases. "Patricia, I need your help. Deep background check on someone. My son-in-law. Personal or professional?" "Both. I think he's running a con on me, and I need to know if he's done this before. Send me his details. I'll have something for you in 72 hours. 71 hours later, Patricia called me. "Daniel, sit down. You're not gonna like this." Derek Allen Price wasn't his real name. He was born Derek James Patterson. He changed his name legally 8 years ago in Nevada, WA, because Derek Patterson had a record in 2014. He'd been convicted of elder fraud in California. He befriended a 72-year-old widow, gained her trust, convinced her to add him to her bank accounts and property deed. When she died 2 years later, he tried to claim the entire estate. Her children sued. The court found evidence of undue influence and fraud. Derek did 18 months in county jail. After his release, he changed his name and moved to Texas. There's more, Patricia sighed. In 2018, a woman in Houston filed a restraining order against him. She was 61, a retired schoolteacher. They dated for a year. She claimed he tried to forge her signature on a reverse mortgage application. Nitrogen monoxide charges were filed because she dropped the case. But the restraining order is public record. My daughter had married a professional con artist who targeted older people, and I was his latest mark. Does Rebecca know? I asked. Hard to say, but Daniel, there's one more thing. I pulled Derek's financial records. He's broke. I mean, completely broke. $87,000. In credit card debt, student loans in default. His car is 3 months behind on payments. He doesn't have a job at a pharmaceutical company. He hasn't worked in 8 months. Then how's he been paying for anything? He hasn't. Look at your credit cards. I bet you'll find charges you didn't make. I checked. She was right. $12,000 in charges over the past 4 months. Restaurants, hotels, shopping, all on my Amex that I rarely used. He'd stolen my credit card information, forged my deed, lied about everything, and he'd married my daughter to do IT. I called my attorney, Marcus James Holloway. We'd known each other for 35 years. Marcus, I need you to do something quietly. File a quiet title action to remove the fraudulent deed, but don't serve Derek yet. I want to see what his next move is. Daniel, if he's committed fraud, you should call the police. I will, but first, I need to protect Rebecca. If I go to the cops now, she'd think I'm attacking her husband. I need her to see who he really is. What are you planning? I'm going to let him make his next move, and when he does, I'll be ready. 2 weeks later, Derek made his move. It was a Saturday morning. I was in the kitchen making coffee when Derek and Rebecca came downstairs. Rebecca looked uncomfortable. Derek looked determined. Daniel, we need to talk, Derek sighed. About what? About this living situation. It's been 9 months. Rebecca and I need our own space. I understand. Have you found a place? Actually, we've been thinking. This house is too big for you. You're getting older. Stairs are getting harder. Maintenance is expensive. IT doesn't make sense for you to keep living here alone. I set down my coffee cup slowly. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that maybe it's time for you to move somewhere more manageable. A retirement community? Maybe. Or a condo. Something without all this upkeep. And what happens to this house? Well, Rebecca is your only heir. Eventually, this house will be hers anyway. Why not transfer it now? We'll take care of the property. You'll have less stress. Everyone wins. There it was, the full con, laid out right in front of him. Dad, maybe he's right. Rebecca sighed quietly. She wouldn't meet my eyes. This place is a lot of work, and you're not getting any younger. My own daughter, repeating his words. I see, I sighed. And if I agreed to this, where would I live? There's a great retirement community in Round Rock, Derek sighed, pulling out a brochure, already prepared. 55 and over. All the amenities, activities. You'd love it. And how much does this retirement community cost? About $3,500 a month. But you've got your pension, Social Security. You can afford IT. Interesting. He'd researched my income too. What if I say nitrogen monoxide? Derek's expression hardened. Then we'll have to explore other options. What kind of other options? Legal options. Daniel, I don't know if you're aware, but I actually own 50% of this property. I had a deed transfer filed months ago. Is that so? Yes, and as a 50% owner, I have rights, including the right to force a sale if we can't come to an agreement about usage. A partition action. He was threatening to force me to sell my own home. I never signed any deed transfer. I said calmly, I have the paperwork that says you. DID, notarized and everything. Interesting, because I've never met the notary whose name is on that document. Derek's smile faltered for just a second. Look, I don't want this to get ugly, but if you're not willing to be reasonable, I'll do what I have to do to protect my wife's interests. My wife's interests, not Rebecca's. His. I'll need to think about IT. I sighed. You've got 72 hours. Then I'm filing for partition. That night, after Derek and Rebecca went out to dinner, I called Marcus. He just threatened to force a sale. IT's time. File everything. The quiet title action. The fraud complaint. Everything. What about Rebecca? I'll talk to her. But first, I need to make sure she's safe. I think she's being manipulated. Be careful. Daniel, guys like this can get dangerous when they're cornered. 2 days later, Derek followed through on his threat. He filed a partition action in Travis County Court, but he went further than I expected. He also filed an eviction notice, claiming that as a 50% owner, he was evicting me from my own home, thought it was legally nonsensical. You can't evict a CO owner. But it didn't matter. He wanted me out, and he wanted to intimidate me into leaving. Marcus called me that afternoon. Daniel. He filed the eviction paperwork. It's garbage, won't hold up in court. But he's escalating. Let him. I filed my counterclaim this morning. Fraud, forgery, THEFT, and I've got Patricia's full report ready to submit as evidence. This is gonna get messy. It already is. 3 days after that, the deputy sheriff showed up at 5:47 in the morning. Asterisk, asterisk. The knock was loud and official. 3 sharp raps. That echoed through the quiet house. I'd been awake since 5 a.m., expecting this. Marcus had called me the night before to warn me that Derek had somehow convinced a deputy to serve eviction papers early in the morning. Psychological warfare. Humiliation. I walked to the front door in my robe and slippers. Through the window, I could see Deputy Frank Williams on my porch, papers in hand, and behind him, standing on my lawn with his arms crossed and a smile on his face, was Derek. I opened the door. Mamar Morrison? The deputy asked. That's a mama. I'm Deputy Williams with Travis County. I've been instructed to serve you with eviction papers. May I see them? He handed me the documents. I scanned them quickly. Complete nonsense. Filed by Derek Allen Price, claiming I was a tenant in my own home and that my lease had been terminated. Deputy Williams, I said calmly. I'm an attorney specializing in property law. This eviction notice is fraudulent. I own this property. I have the original deed, which I'm happy to show you. Sir, I'm just serving the papers. You'll have to take IT up with the court. I understand. Thank you for your professionalism. Derek couldn't contain himself. How's I to feel, Daniel? Not so fun when someone else is in charge, is IT? I looked at him. Really looked at him. This man who'd married my daughter, lived in my home, stolen from me, lied to me. Derek, you should know something. I filed a quiet title action 3 weeks ago to remove the fraudulent deed you forged. I also filed a criminal complaint with the Travis County DA's office for fraud, forgery, and identity theft. The smile vanished from his face. You're bluffing. I'm also aware that your real name is Derek James Patterson, and that you served 18 months in California for elder fraud, and that you have $87,000 in debt and haven't had a real job in 8 months. His face went white. Deputy. Williams turned to look at Derek. Sir, is this true? He's lying. He's a bitter old man who can't accept that his daughter doesn't need him anymore. Deputy Williams, I have documentation of all of this, including evidence that Mr. Price has been using my credit cards without permission. If you'd like, I can provide you with copies. The deputy looked between us. Sir, I'm going to need you to come down to the station and answer some questions. I'm not going anywhere. Derek shouted. This is my house. I own half of it. Actually, came a voice from behind him. You don't. Marcus Holloway had arrived, and he wasn't alone. He had a Travis County detective with him. Daniel, meet Detective Sarah Chun. I filled her in on the situation. Detective Chun stepped forward. Mr. Price. I'm Detective Chun with the Travis County Financial Crimes Unit. We've been reviewing the evidence Mr. Morrison provided regarding fraudulent deed, transfers, and identity theft. I'd like you to come with me to answer some questions. I want to lawyer. That's your right, but you're coming to the station either way. That's when Rebecca came running out of the house. What's going on? Derek? Dad? Sweetheart, I said gently. There's something you need to know about your husband. Derek spun toward her. Don't listen to him. Babe, he's trying to turn you against me. He's always been jealous of us. Rebecca, Marcus sighed, pulling out a folder. Your father asked me to prepare this for you. It's a full background report on Derek. His real name, his criminal history, his debts, everything. He handed her the folder. She opened it with shaking hands. I watched my daughter's face as she read. Confusion, shock, betrayal, tears. You lied to me? She whispered. About your name? About your job? About everything. Babe, I can explain. You went to prison for fraud. That was a long time ago. I was different then. You tried to steal my father's house? I was trying to secure our future. He's old. He's not gonna live forever. I was just speeding up the inevitable. Wrong thing to say. Rebecca's face went cold. She looked at Detective Chen. What do you need from me to help put him away? Rebecca, no. You're my wife. Not for long, she sighed. Get out of my sight. Derek tried to argue, but Detective Chun had had enough. Mr. Price, you're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and identity theft. You have the right to remain silent. As they led him away in handcuffs, Derek looked back at him. The smile was gone, replaced by pure hatred. But I didn't feel triumphant. I felt exhausted. Rebecca stood on the lawn, crying. I walked over and put my arm around her. I'm so sorry. Sweetheart, I should have seen it. The signs were all there. But I loved him, or I thought I did. He's a professional. This is what he does. It's not your fault. How long have you known? About 2 months. I hired a private investigator after I found the forged deed. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed proof, and I needed you to see it for yourself. If I just told you, he would have convinced you I was lying. She nodded, wiping her eyes. What happens now? Now you move forward, file for divorce, rebuild your life, and I'll be here to help you every step of the way. The legal aftermath moved surprisingly quickly. Derek was formally charged with 3 counts of forgery, 2 counts of identity theft, 1 count of credit card fraud, and 1 count of attempted grand theft. His public defender tried to negotiate a plea deal, but the DA's office wasn't interested. Derek's prior conviction in California made him a repeat offender. The trial lasted 4 days. I testified. Rebecca testified. Patricia testified about her investigation. Marcus presented the forged deed, the credit card statements, the phony eviction papers. The jury took less than 2 hours to convict on all counts. Derek. James Patterson was sentenced to 7 years in state prison, as they laid him out of the courtroom. He looked back at Rebecca one last time. "I loved you," he said. She didn't respond, just looked away. The quiet title, "Action to remove the fraudulent deed," was granted. Immediately, my house was 100% mine. Again, officially, legally, permanently. Rebecca filed for divorce the day after the sentencing. The marriage was annulled 6 weeks later on grounds of fraud. She moved back in with me for a few months while she sorted out her life, apartment hunting, therapy, rebuilding her sense of self. We went back to our Thursday dinners, talking, laughing, processing what had happened. One night, about 3 months after the trial, she asked me, "Dad, how did you stay so calm through all of it? When you found out what he was doing, why didn't you just throw him out immediately?" I thought about that for a moment, because I've spent 40 years in property law. I've seen what happens when people act on emotion instead of strategy. If I'd confronted Derek right away, he would have disappeared, changed his name again, moved to another state, found another victim. By letting him make the first move, I got everything I needed to put him away for years. You used yourself as bait. I did, and it worked. Weren't you scared? Terrified, but more than that. I was angry, not just for myself, for you, for the woman in California he scammed, for the teacher in Houston, for every person he'd ever hurt. I wanted to make sure he couldn't do this to anyone else. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Thank you for protecting me, even when I didn't know I needed protecting." That's what fathers do. 6 months after the trial, Rebecca found her own place, a nice 2-bedroom apartment in downtown Austin. She was thriving. New position at work, new friends, new confidence. As for me, I'm still in the house I built a lifing with Margaret, the house I raised Rebecca in, the house that Derek tried to steal. I updated my security, installed cameras, changed all the locks, made sure every document in my office was locked in a fireproof safe, and I made one more change. I updated my will. Everything still goes to Rebecca, but now there's a clause, a very specific clause that says if she ever gets married again, her spouse cannot claim any interest in properties I leave her unless they've been married for at least 10 years. Call I to paranoid. Call I to protective. I call I to practical. Marcus laughed. When he drafted IT. Think she'd be upset about this? I think she'll understand. And she did. When I showed her the updated will, she actually smiled. "Good," she said. "I don't trust myself to pick better next time." You will. You're smarter now. You know what to look for. Last week, Rebecca started dating someone new, a teacher at a charter school. Makes $47,000 a year. Drives a 10-year-old Toyota. Volunteers at an animal shelter on weekends. When she brought him over for dinner, the first thing he said was, Morrison, I've heard so much about you," Rebecca says. "You're the smartest man she knows." She's biased. Maybe, but I'd love to hear about your work sometime. Property law sounds fascinating. We talked for 3 hours. About law, about teaching, about life. He asked intelligent questions, listened to the answers. Didn't try to impress me or sell me anything. When he and Rebecca left that night, I pulled her aside. "He seems genuine." He is. I've been taking IT. Slow. Doing background checks. Meeting his family. Making sure. Good. You've learned. I had a good teacher. As I watched them drive away, I thought about that morning when the deputy sheriff showed up, when Derek stood on my lawn, smiling, thinking he'd won. He didn't know that when you try to steal from a man who spent 40 years mastering property law, You're not going to win. He didn't know that patience is a weapon. He didn't know that documentation beats deception every single time. And he definitely didn't know that a father's love for his daughter is stronger than any con. Derek thought he was going to watch me get evicted from my own home that morning. Instead, he watched his entire scheme collapse. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served hot or cold. Served with legal documentation, criminal charges, and a 7-year prison sentence. And sometimes the greatest gift you can give your children isn't money or property. It's teaching them that when someone tries to manipulate them, there are people who will fight back. Derek smiled. The morning lasted about 15 minutes. Mine has lasted 8 months and counting. Because justice isn't just about winning. It's about making sure the bad guys don't get to do it again, and protecting the people you love. No matter what it takes.